It's funny you say that because Rabbi Cooper's kids, Abe Cooper, you know Abe Cooper.
Yeah.
Abe Cooper's kid, or Abe Cooper's daughter goes, when are you coming to visit? The other daughter goes, when are you coming to visit? Then Avi Needle goes, when are you coming to visit? I'm like, okay,
But they're in California or in Israel?
No. That's the children are in Israel. I have these are people in Israel. Then I have 3 other clients who go, when are you coming to visit? Then I have a client coming from Israel going back to Florida. She goes, not when you coming to visit in Israel, when you come to visit to Florida, then I'll drag you to Israel. I'm like, oh, okay, everybody wants to drag me to Israel right now.
Why not?
Why not?
There are worse places to go.
No.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello, Lois. Hello, Jason. Hello, Arona.
Hello.
And Galaxy A03S.
It might be me.
Do I hear you? I do hear you.
It might be to me,
Okay. Hello.
of course.
Jude,
Yeah,
that's you. You're the Galaxy.
yeah. I'm waiting for your father. He's coming.
All right. Okay.
Just keep waiting.
A galaxy far, far away.
That's it. Somewhere in a galaxy far,
Oh,
far.
far away.
All right. We'll give it a minute before we start. But then Jason is going to kick things off tonight with his question for the evening.
I am. All right.
Jason, we have you. If I was producing this event, I would have you ready. I don't know what I would do because I've never produced anything in radio, but you have. So you know how to be ready for your part.
I'll see if I remember. I mean, things come to me, I send them to you, and then yeah. We'll see what happens.
Sound familiar?
An old age something.
I'm just gonna follow along based on your
Okay.
WhatsApp, but you're gonna actually ask the question. Was it
Okay.
what was it? What was it? A text? It was a text. I like the text.
WhatsApp is a text too.
Is it?
Yeah.
I guess so. There is a text. I mean,
Yeah. Text.
almost everything in writing could be said to be a text,
Yeah.
I guess. Okay. Jason, why don't you take it away?
You're on there.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jason Mark.
Hello, everyone. So I guess I could hold on. Do this and do what videos. How about that? Let's see. Okay, so
Yeah.
hello. So a major theme of this parsha apparently is blessing, because the root of bracha, or appears, according to an email that I got, 32 times in this parsha, more than any other time in the Torah. You've got God blessing Yitzchak, of course, and you've got Yitzchak blessing Yaakov and Esav, and but in prayer we use this term, this Hebrew root as the main verb in our blessing formula. All right, but what does it mean when we say Baruch Atah Adonai? All right, you've got God blessing all of us, people in the Torah. How exactly do we actually bless God? Is my question. Could we bring blessings or give blessings to the creator of the universe? Is that possible? What do the rabbis kind of have to say about that? What does it mean when we say Baruch Atah Adonai, kind of, et cetera, et cetera? That sort of was the formulation, sort of the kernel of the question that I shot to Rabbi Karsh earlier today.
Okay,
Your turn.
all right. So I'm going to take Jason's word for it that, or the email that he got that it says the word
Blessed or the word-
bracha or some version of it 32 times, I think you said. When I was in high school, my freshman year, I had a Rebbe whose name is Rabbi Howard Wine, no relation to Rabbi Beryl Wine. And may he live long and in good health, Rabbi Howard Wine. So he was a Balkore. He continues to be. I think he continues to read Torah for whatever shul he's at every week. He also taught us Dikduk. He taught us Navi. He taught us Gemara. He taught us a lot of things. A lot of very important basic training happened in that first year in high school at Brisker Shiva from Rabbi Wine. And he said his favorite Torah portion is Toldos, because he said every aliyah ends with a blessing. So, for instance, not there you go. Every aliyah ends with a blessing. So with the first aliyah, there's 7 altogether. These are the different sections that are read on Shabbos from the Torah. So the first one ends in chapter 26, verse 8. And it is the blessing. This is what a blessing that Yitzchak gets. He wants to, there's a famine, and he wants to leave the boundaries of Egypt. Leave the boundaries of Israel and go to Egypt like his father did. But God tells him, you can't leave the boundaries of Israel. There's something, related to the Akedah. He said, you can't leave Israel. So he went to the land of the Philistines. And so he gets a blessing from Hashem. He says, live in this land, I will be with you and I will bless you. This land is going to be to your offspring. I'm going to give you all these lands, and I will keep the shvuah, which I swore to Avram, and I will make your seed many like the stars of the heavens. So that's the blessing at the end of the first aliyah. And then there's aliyah number 2, that's in chapter 26, verse 12. The very last words, it says, and Yitzchak planted in that land, and on that year he had 100-fold. He grew 100-fold his crops. Vayivarchehu Hashem, and God blessed him. That's how aliyah number 2 ends. And then you have aliyah number 3. And this one ends chapter 26, verse 22. And it's Yitzchak himself talking about how he has been blessed by God, and that God has given him, he calls the name Rechovot because God has given like wide boundaries to him, and Uparinu Ba'aretz, and we've been very fruitful in the land. And then at the end of the 4th aliyah, it says, this is Avimelech sending him away. And he says, Baruch Hashem. Atah, Baruch Hashem. You are blessed of God. By the way, there's a young man, Isaac Gaifman, who told his father, and his father told me, that Rabbi Ari Khan said that the phrase Baruch Hashem appears twice in the Torah, and both of them times it was spoken by Gentiles. That the phrase Baruch Hashem, as far as the Torah is concerned, is something a Gentile would say. Anyway, so blessed is God. That's the end of aliyah number 4. In aliyah number 5, that means that every time somebody's being called up to the Torah, the end of what they're reading is bracha. At the end of number 5, which is in chapter 27, verse 27, it says, and he smelled the fragrance of his clothing, and he blessed him. And he said, behold, the fragrance of my son is like the fragrance of a field that God blessed. That's the end of number 5. The end of number 6. And God says, this is Hashem speaking to Yitzchak. This is Yitzchak speaking to Yaakov. And he says, God will bless you, make you fruitful and many, be a great nation. And he will give you the bracha of Abraham to you and your seed to inherit the land which the Lord your God gave you. This has so far been each of the 6 aliyot have ended with a bracha, with bracha. And then at the end of Shvi, it says, Esav saw that Yitzchak blessed Yaakov and sent him to Padan Aram to take a wife from there. When he blessed him and commanded him, do not take a wife from the people of Canaan. So again, it talks about, in the last phrase there, the blessing that Yitzchak gave to Yaakov. So each one of the 7 aliyot ends in bracha. And now I have a new fact from Jason, that the word bracha appears 32 times, or some version of it appears 32 times in Parshas Toldos. But again, my Rabbi Wein, he used to tell us this Toldos was his favorite Parsha to learn because there was a bracha at the end of each one. So what is a bracha? What is a bracha? There are different opinions as to the root of the word. My favorite one is from Rabbi Shlomo ben Aderet, the Rashba. He was a extremely influential Spanish scholar at the end of the 1200s. And he was a student and colleague of the Ramban, Nachmanides. And then after the Ramban left for Israel, he became really the great sage of Spanish Jewry at the time. And he has a series of responsa that, besides his commentary on the Talmud, his responsa are extremely, extremely wonderful and very influential. So he suggests that the word bracha is related to the word brecha. Brecha means a spring or pool of water. And he suggested the following model. Imagine somebody has planted seeds. They're in Egypt. They planted seeds in the fertile land near the Nile, cotton seeds. And they've planted the field with cotton seeds. At this point, you could say that there is potential for a crop of cotton, but you still need water in order for the potential to be realized. So let's say in this scenario, you dig a canal from the Nile, and water travels down this canal to your field, and it waters the field, or you wait till the Nile overflows its boundaries. In either way, that water, as it moves towards the seeds, that water is what we mean by bracha. In other words, it's energy. It's kind of vivifying energy. It's vivifying energy. It when it comes in contact with potential, it helps the potential be realized. so he suggested that that's a good model for what bracha is. So let's say you have a horizontal bracha, like some of these were horizontal brachas. Let's say from Yitzchak to Yaakov. Yitzchak gives brachas to Yaakov. I mean, it's still sort of vertical because it's a father to a son, but it's sort of, it's one person to another. And we're going to see Yaakov gives a bracha to Yosef. Yaakov gives a bracha to Pharaoh. Yaakov gives blessings to Yosef, to his children. Sometimes we see people giving brachas to people. Sometimes you see God giving brachas to people. But so in each one of those cases, whether it's us who are doing it horizontally, like for instance, Abraham at the beginning of Lech Lecha, when Hashem is speaking to Abraham, we saw this when last time we were talking about Lech Lecha. So it says, Hashem says to Avram, go from your land, from your birthplace and the house of your father, to the land which I will show you. And I will make you a great nation. Va'avorechecha, and I will bless you. Va'agat lashmecha, I will make your name great. V'heyeh bracha, you will be blessing. Va'avarcha mevarechecha, those people who bless you, I will bless them. Umekalelcha, or those who curse you, I will curse. V'nivrechu v'cha kol mishpachot ha'adama, and all the families of the earth will be blessed through you. So this is what he's suggesting, the Rashba. He's suggesting that what it suggests is there is some kind of energy. This energy is available to people. And if you channel that, and people can channel that energy in different directions. And if you channel it towards somebody else, it vitalizes, it gives vitality to the potential that's in that person. So the language of bracha is many, fruitful, great. These are the kinds of languages that you tend to hear, because the idea is that when somebody says he is blessed, like let's say they say he was blessed, he's very blessed, they mean he has a lot. That's what they typically mean. He has a lot. So that's the idea that, and like that example with Yitzchak, it grew 100-fold. So there was potential, and the potential is being realized. And to the extent that it is realized, it is said to be blessed. So that is what we mean, according to the Rashba, that's what we mean when we say somebody is giving a blessing. And that's what we mean when we say God is giving a blessing. The Ramban, Nachmanides, says that the quintessential blessing is rain. Rain is like the quintessential blessing because it captures this notion. It is that life-giving energy that is going to mix with the earth, and it is going to bring forth the bounty of earth. But it can't happen, like we saw before in Genesis, in the second chapter of Bereshit, when it said, this was in verse 5 of chapter 2. The kol siach hasada terem yira ba'aretz. You did not see greenery of the fields yet on the land. B'chol esav hasada terem yitzmach. There were no green. There wasn't grasses in the fields. Ki lo himtir Hashem Elokim al aretz, because God had not brought rain yet on the earth. So that stuff is all in potential, and it's waiting for rain. Va'odam ayin lavod et adama, and there is no person to serve. And we saw that Rashi said on that. So Rashi said, Ki lo himtir Hashem, so God had not caused it to rain. Umatam lo himtir. Why is it that God did not cause it to rain? Levisha adam ayin lavodat adama. There's no man yet to work the earth. Ve'ein makir b'tovas and shagashami. So there's nobody who understands or recognizes the good of rain. Utishaba adam v'yada shehem tzarech la'olam. When man comes and sees that they are necessary for the world, hispalel aleihem, he prays for them, v'yerdu, and then the rains fall, v'tzamchu ha'elanos v'adashayim, and then the trees and the grasses can grow. So that's the model. And in that model, man is supposed to recognize the need for the rain, and then he's supposed to pray for it to come down. So when we talked about the horizontal blessing between people, or God blessing man, we talked about how the blessing brings the potential into fruition. So Jason's question is, then what do we mean when we are blessing God? Well, the Amida is our quintessential prayer. It's sometimes when you use the word prayer, you mean the Amida. You just mean the Amida. Somebody's praying. When it says prayer has a certain time, it means the Amida has a certain time. So prayer is like the quintessential prayer. And Amida. And the Amida is made up of blessings. Blessings are the building blocks of that prayer. Much of our prayer is built on the foundation of blessings. What does it mean to bless God? It cannot mean the same thing, because God doesn't have potential that is unrealized. God, it's part of our understanding of God that he's fully realized. There's nothing about God that's not fully realized. So what would it mean to bless God? So the Rashba, in a different responsa, he suggests that what it means is that what happens is, we use this language because as a formula, what's happening is you're sending a request to the source of blessing. God is the source of blessing. You're sending a request to the source of blessing. And when you send this request in the language of a blessing, it unleashes bracha in the world, which is that's what when Rashi's quoting there, because man recognizes the need for rain. So but there is no man yet. So there's nobody to call down the rain. This is how the system works. This is by design. The system requires all sorts of things to happen. There's evaporation. There's condensation. There's many other things. The molecules combining to form water, H2O. There's all this, or atoms forming to create water molecules. So all this stuff is happening, and one of the things that needs to happen, that's part of the natural process of rain, is that there needs to be a human who activates it. And how does a human activate it? By recognizing the need and directing a request in the form of a blessing to the source of bracha, and then the energy comes down. The energy comes down. So, for instance, when a person makes a bracha on a fruit, so you borei pri ha'etz, so you bless God, who is who created the fruit of the tree. So when you do that, according to him, energy now is released, and that energy goes to the fruit trees to make more fruit. It's actually only fair. You're eating a fruit. You're taking away some of the fruit that's on the earth. It's only right that you would replace it and ask for more. In fact, your appreciation of fruit is what's going to ensure that there's more fruit. That's how it's going to work. You're going to bring blessing to it. Man's attention to it brings blessing. In a sort of related way, Michael Pollan has a book called Botany of Desire. And he talks about how there are several plants. One of them is the apple. And how, because of human interest in it, because of desire, human interest in apples, they spread. In other words, it's part of the success of apple. If you want to talk about apples as a successful fruit or successful plant or tree, part of the success of it was that it was able to attract man's attention, as it were. Once you attract man's attention, now you're going to be successful. That would be like if they could talk to each other in the secret life of plants. If they could actually, like schmooze with each other, they'd be saying, do something to get man's attention. I mean, yeah, it's got to be positive attention. Do something to get man's attention, guaranteed success. So this is sort of like that once our attention is put on it, we have this this way we can sort of activate the energy that this life-giving energy that then vivifies the various items and brings their potential to fruition. So that's the Rashba. And I would say that's amongst, these are my favorite explanations. There's others. There are others. In fact, I think Rabbeinu Bachya Ibn Bakuda, who's living before the Rashba, he's writing in the 1000s. He might be writing like around Rashi's time. So he suggests that the word bracha is related to berach, the knee, because one of the ways that you activate bracha is bending the knee. By showing subservience to God, it releases bracha into the world. So it could be related to berach. There are those who point out that the letters Beis, Reish, Chaf, that are the essence of the word bracha. They are the root of the word bracha. Beis, Reish, Chaf. That's 2, 20, and 200. And 2 is the number of blessing, because in other words, 2 is the beginning of many. All right. So there are those who point that out. There are some, and in this I have the Kedushas Levi, and it could be Rav Shimshon Fall Hirsch also says this. The Kedushas Levi was the Berditchever Rebbe. He suggests that even though, strictly speaking, theologically, God is fully realized, but in our relationship with God, he has set it up in such a way that we contribute to him or to his world. This is something that requires Kabbalistic, thinking, and might be related to the Kabbalistic notion of tzimtzum, of God contracting himself. But the way we live our life, we are under the impression, and this is an impression that's given to us through the Torah, that God needs our input. He needs our input. He very much wants it, and he needs our input. He set it up that way. So like we saw before with the rain, he made it so that it's not, God created the let's say the universe, or let's focus on the earth. God created the earth, and he's got plans for it. He created it. He's got a vision for it. But part of the vision requires people. People, in Rabbi Foreman's language, are middle management. God created all sorts of things, but now he wants man to manage it. I want you to manage the fish of the sea and the birds of the sky and the animals on the earth. And God brought us into the garden, la'avdo l'shamra, to work it and to guard it. So he's got a garden. He brought us in to be the gardeners. So even though, strictly speaking, theologically, he doesn't need us, but he set it up in such a way that it feels like he needs us. So, and he also gave us free will, which meant that it's not a guarantee that we're going to follow through and do what it is that he needs from us, because it's up to our choice that we're going to follow through. So they suggest that that's how we give to God. we do give to God. We give to God by making the choices that bring his creation to fruition. By doing our job as his gardener, or as his middle management, as his, managing his animal life and plant life, by doing that job, we are in effect giving to God. So it's not strictly true, or at least experientially true, that we can't give to God or that he's fully realized. There are some aspects, because he's made it this way with creation, there are some elements left for us to give to him. So according to them, it could be, even though it sounds at first ridiculous, as Jason was saying, it sounds ridiculous to think that man could give anything to God, but it's sort of how God set things up, that at least for us to experience it as if we do contribute, as if we do give to him. It's important. We even talk about that in sort of quasi-Kabbalistic books like The Way of God, written by Moshe Chaim Luzzatto. So, and in others, this has trickled down to become kind of mainstream language. But why is it, the question is asked, why is it that we're put on this planet? We're put on this planet to make good choices, right? So why did we make good choices? Because if we make good choices, we earn our place in the next world. Now, why didn't he just put us directly in the next world if it was so important to get there? Because if you don't earn your place, you don't, they call it nama de kasufa, bread of shame. If you're just given everything, you don't appreciate it. You don't. So therefore, we have to sort of earn it. So the way he has us earn it, in other words, this could be, from his perspective, this is like play acting. This is but he lets us experience it as if we things happen that would not have happened if I had not made this choice.
So it is an AI experience.
It's a what?
An AI experience.
Artificial intelligence.
Yes. You're living in an AI experience.
Yes,
right
yes, we are. Yes, you could say that. Yeah, you could say that in a certain way, because it's
an AI
I know
experience.
when you're thinking about it, the theology, there's a guy named Ross Levin, and years ago, we were at a Shabbaton together, and he came over to me and he said, that philosophical question, theological question, can God make a rock that he cannot lift? This is like, it's like one of these paradoxical kind of questions. Could God can do anything, right? So could he make a rock? Could he create a rock that he can't lift?
Why would he?
Right. So he said, so Ross said he did when he made man, because by giving man free will, and that he's not going to coerce him in a certain way, he made a rock he can't lift, because he created man, and now he needs man to make the choices necessary in order for something to happen. So for some perspective, he sort of did that. If that's bracha, if that's what we mean by blessing, so then klala, then cursing would be blocking the flow. Can
I change the word? Because I looked up the word catalyst.
Catalyst is good.
Yeah,
catalyst
bracha,
is good. Yeah, that's good. Bracha, catalyst.
That's what I was looking up.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay.
So cursing would be the opposite. If there's a flow that's being directed and you put something to block the flow. So go back to the scenario of the cotton field.
Right.
So you have the water now flowing over, but you dam it up. So now the water can't get there. So all those cotton seeds are going to amount to nothing. So that would be what cursing is. Cursing would be blocking that flow of energy. So later on, for instance, at the end of Genesis, when Yaakov is blessing at the end of the book of Bereshit, in the Torah portion of Vayechi, when Yaakov is blessing his children, so it says, that Yaakov called his sons. This is in chapter 49, at the beginning of chapter 49. And Yaakov called his sons, and he says, gather, and I will tell you what's going to happen to you at the end of days. And they gathered, and he kavtzu v'shimu b'nei Yaakov, gather and listen, sons of Yaakov. V'shimu al Yisrael avichem, listen to Israel your father. Ruvain b'chori ata kochi v'reishis oni yeser sheis v'yeser az. So first he starts with Ruvain, and he says, you're my first, etc. But you are pachaz kamayim al tosar ki alisa al mishkavei avicha az chilalta yitzui aleha. He is not happy with them. He seems to be referencing that he was intimate with Bilhah, with Yaakov's wife / concubine, who was the maidservant of Rachel, and therefore he doesn't use the language of blessing by him. Shimon v'Levi, then he goes to Shimon and Levi. Achim, they are brothers. Klei Hamas mecherotehem. They're like business is their business is weapons of slaughter or of killing. Besodam al tavo nafshi, my soul will not come in their secret. Bekahalam al techad kvodi, my honor, my glory will not gather in their community or congregation. Ki ba'apam horgu ish, in their anger they killed a man. Ubertsonim ikra shor, and by their will they hamstrung an ox. Arur apam, cursed be their anger. Ki az ba'avartem ve'evrosam ki kashasa chalkem b'Yaakov afitze b'Yisrael. I'm going to scatter them in Israel. And if you notice, Levi and Shimon Levi doesn't have a specific territory. They have cities all around. And Shimon does have a territory, but it's completely surrounded by Yehuda. Ramon Shapiro, blessed memory, used to point this out, that it's like he has to be watched. He can't have his own space. He has to be like he's totally surrounded by Yehuda. But he curses him. He curses, but he doesn't curse them. He curses their anger. So the way you would interpret that, according to the way we're understanding it, is he's not sending energy. He's blocking energy that goes to their anger. So their anger can't flourish. Their anger can't flourish. Because it gets no energy. So this would be like somebody, let's say you have somebody who's a compulsive gambler. So as long as they don't have access to money, there's little damage they can do. But if they get access to money, that's where they can really do damage. And so if somebody could cut off their funding, this is maybe somebody's strategy, just to make sure they never get too much funding, because if they get too much funding, then all manner of destruction is going to happen. I've always felt that if you want to see in action, if you want to see blessing in action, one of the ways you can see it is to watch when somebody says, I love you, to somebody else. If you watch the person who they say, I love you to, and this is, let's say, a situation where there's genuine sharing of love. That's when the person says it, they mean it from the heart, and they're sending it to a person who receives it. When you see that, if you look at their posture, you see they like almost like a flower unfolding. The person who hears "I love you" from somebody who's genuinely conveying their love to that other person. I once heard somebody ask that. It was actually a Buddhist gentleman. He was talking to a group I was with, and he was talking about how he was with his father when his father passed away, And it became important for him to say, I love you to his father before his father died. And he's going, what is that? What is happening when I say that? Like, why was that so important? He was just talking about it. And, but if I believe this is what's happening when you're like sending your love. It actually it is this kind of animating, vivifying energy that gets sent and you actually, if you watch, you see the person, they sort of unfold like a flower when it's being sent to them. So that would be like an experience, a kind of visual experience of what it is that we're talking about. So again, when Avram is being told that he is going to be bracha and people are going to be blessed through him, what he's being told is he's a conduit for that life-giving energy. He's a kind of conduit for that life-giving energy. And Moshe Shapiro told us that this is also part of what it means to be a tzaddik. When we call somebody a tzaddik, like Yosef a tzaddik, Yosef for some reason is called Yosef a tzaddik. I mean, there's some obvious possible explanations for it, but he gets the appellation tzaddik, Yosef a tzaddik. Now, look at Yosef a tzaddik. What happened? Egypt was supposed to have a drought, and instead blessing comes in. They have 7 years of blessing before they have the years of drought. So, and who does it come through? It all comes through Yosef. Yosef's actually in charge of what's going to happen with all the grain and everything like that. And in Egypt, they end up with an abundance of grain where nobody else has it. Who's the channel? The channel of it is Yosef. It's all coming through Yosef. If you want to get grain, you got to go to Yosef because it all comes through Yosef. He was saying that this is that notion of being like a channel of blessing. There's another figure that's called tzaddik, and that's Shimon tzaddik, the original Simon the Just. Before there was the Christian Simon the Just, there was Shimon tzaddik. Shimon tzaddik lived at about 300 before the Common Era, and he was in Pirkei Avos it says he was like a remnant, the last of the men of the Great Assembly. He was a Kohen, and when Alexander the Great was coming through, because Alexander the Great was on his conquering tour. So Alexander was doing some battle against the Persians in the north, like in Lebanon. And he asked for mercenaries from locals to join him. And the Jews did not, because the Jews had a pact with the Persians. So the Jews could not send mercenaries to Alexander, even if it would have been pragmatically prudent. They couldn't do it because they had a pact with the Persians. The Samaritans, who occupied northern Israel, the Shomronim, they actually sent mercenaries to Alexander. And when Alexander beat the Persians in the north there, he wanted to reward the people who sent him mercenaries. So he asked the Samaritans what he can do for them, and they said, conquer the south. Conquer the south. So Alexander's coming into the south, and he's going on a conquering tour, and he's getting ready to, strongly conquer the south. So the story is in the Gemara that Shimon tzaddik dressed up in the garments of the Kohen Gadol. It's not even clear he was a Kohen Gadol. He might have just been a Kohen, but he dressed up in the clothing of the Kohen Gadol. And as Alexander was coming with his legions of soldiers, Shimon tzaddik walks out. So you have this like lone figure walking out of Jerusalem towards Alexander as he's coming. And then at one point, when Alexander gets close enough, he's on his horse and he sees this man. As he gets close enough, according to the Talmud, he recognizes Shimon tzaddik. He gets off the horse and he bows to Shimon tzaddik. And this is more than the Samaritans or anybody else can take. What are you doing bowing to this Jew? And he said, the image of that man goes before me in all my battles, in all my victories. I see him. I recognize him. I see him in all my victories. And Ramesh Shapiro suggested that's because, again, the energy, even the energy for Alexander's success, the bracha that goes to Alexander is somehow coming through Shimon HaTzadik. There are certain people that they are the channels through which this energy is coming. And he recognized that Shimon HaTzadik was the sort, and he was just saying this term tzaddik, which we use for Yosef, we say Yosef HaTzadik, and we say for Shimon HaTzadik. One of the indications of this person is a tzaddik is that they become a channel for blessing. They are a channel for blessing. And that's why you will see to this day that there are people that are identified as tzaddikim, as righteous people, and you will see people go to them for blessing because there is some sense that it's in their, it's their part of their role that they are a channel for blessing in the world. So this is in the yeshiva community, in the Hasidic community, in the Sephardic community, in what you would call the Haredi world in general, but not just the Haredi world. It is considered an important thing when you have a chance to go to a tzaddik and ask them for a bracha. And again, it's with this assumption that we all have all of us, children of Abraham, we all have the power to send blessing, but there's something in particular, there's certain people that have become like channels for blessing in particular that, and therefore they're the kind of people that people go to. There's certain people that there's lines of people waiting just to go and get a bracha from this person. Like they're amongst Hasidim, you know, you can just imagine hours. People wait online for hours just to get a bracha from the Rebbe. But there's others. There was I on several occasions I went to the Stipler, Rabbi Yaakov Yisrael Kanievsky. When I was engaged, I went to him for a bracha. When Tzipi was pregnant with AY, I went to him for a bracha. And that time I went to him for a bracha. The way you went to the Stipler for a bracha, you wrote down your name and what you were asking a bracha for. Because he didn't hear well. And he didn't see very well either. He's like in his 90s. He didn't see very well. So he would hold the paper like up to his face like this, practically. And he would read it. So I gave it to him and he's reading it. And then he stops. And he goes, this is a year after. I came to him like a year later after the first blessing. So, and I'm not somebody who hung around the stipend. He didn't, know me. But he gets to the point, he reads my name and he goes, I already gave you a bracha. Kfar natati lecha bracha.
Really?
How many blessings do you need from me? 100 blessings. And he
You're
sort of
crazy.
laughed.
Wow.
Yeah. And then, so anyways, Jason, there it is. Okay, I'm very grateful for having this opportunity to learn with you guys. And I look forward to learning with you again. I suggest next week, Tuesday night.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, Rabbi.
Be well.
Thank you so
Be well.
much.
Have a great week. Be well.
Bye, Rabbi.
Have a nice Thanksgiving.
Bye, you
Bye-bye.
guys.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving. Now.